Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Ghost Hunter Joe and Friends. I am so excited for tonight's episode. We are going to be interviewing one of my absolute favorite people in the paranormal field, Danielle, which I'll tell you all about her. She's been doing this forever. I like to personally refer to her as the queen of the paranormal meet and greet. Really, she's queen of like everything paranormal. So if you've ever heard of her, she's kind of a big deal. So we are so fortunate to have her on our channel tonight. I haven't seen Danielle in, gosh, we were just talking about this, probably close to 5 or 6 years. We both kind of moved away. I'm just really excited that she's going to be here so we can all learn from her. And we're going to talk about meeting and greeting. So if you want to come up and be a part of the meet and greet, you are, of course, more than welcome. We'll drop the link here in a little bit. But what I want to do before I bring Miss Danielle up is introduce my wonderful co-host, Miss Ashley. What you doing, girl?
You know, same as always. What you doing?
Oh, you know. Whatever. Well, I swear to God, this year has just, I can't believe it's already the 19th of the month. It's already flying by. It's ridiculous.
It really
it is absolutely ridiculous. So, stuff at work is a little crazy, not gonna lie, definitely a little busy, but it's keeping me on my toes, I guess I should say. But just so everybody knows, we got some people in the chat. I want to give a special shout out to my wifey. Oh, they changed the bubbles. The bubbles are different. Yeah. Anyway, hi to my wifey, Marie, who was on here last week. I don't know if she's going to be able to stay the whole time or not, but she made an appearance, and that's all I need. So that's all I need. My buddy, John K. I am so excited John K. is in the house. Misty, I don't know you, but I am excited that you are here, and I'm even more excited that you are excited for Danny. So, oh, and of course, we got Miss Tranda in here, so I'm excited about that.
Me too.
Did you get your hair done?
No, I'm going to next week. Does it look like it's done?
Well, it looks like it's lighter.
Maybe
it looks good. I don't know that you need to get it done.
No, I'm getting it cut.
Oh, just cut?
Yeah.
Oh, well, your hair looks good. So, keep on keeping on. So, oh, you got a special shout out, Miss Ashley.
Hi.
Marie. Oh, we love Marie.
We all love Marie.
And we love our cosmic crazy. Oh, everybody in here is so wonderful. So, I don't know that I've ever gotten to actually tell you the story about Danielle and how her and I met. So, before I bring her up, I'm going to tell kind of a little story.
Yes. Please tell us how you two met.
What?
I said yes. Please tell us how you two met.
So I had to have met Danielle maybe 2009, and I was very early in my ghost hunting career, as they speak, so to say. But anyway, I actually met her it was another paranormal meet and greet. Imagine that. Queen of the paranormal meet and greet at a meet and greet. And I met her in this little town called, was it Elwood, Indiana? I don't know where it was. I know it was at the Honeywell Center in Indiana. So wherever it's at. Okay. And so I met her, and I was just enamored with Danielle because she had the best attitude, and she was all about, let's all learn from each other. And, it was just, it was so warm and welcoming and inviting. And so Danielle and I kind of kept in touch because she lived kind of far away. But then I learned from Danielle that she put together this meet and greet in Indianapolis every year at the historic Hannah House, where eventually I would go and help manage, which you've heard me talk about that.
The house seems amazing, though.
I don't think they do anything there anymore. But so anyway, Danielle actually got to come on board and try to help us revitalize whatnot. And so Danielle and I got really, really close. And then I had to go and move to Tennessee. So,
I'm so glad you moved here.
well, I appreciate that, but I kind of miss Danielle. So, as other people can see, she is a wonderful bright light, and that is true. So, I'm very excited that she is here. So, I want to take away any more of the spotlight from her because I want to pick her brain about everything. So I'm gonna bring her up and I'm gonna make her picture really big. So because everybody needs to see the wonderful light that she is.
Oh, geez.
So without further ado, my good friend, Miss Danielle Garrison. What you doing, girl?
Hi, Joe. I'm good. How are you? Hi,
Oh,
Ashley.
oh, I am just so excited that you are here. I am so excited that you are here. So I really do think it's been like 6 years. It's
It
been
has.
That's forever.
so. Tell us, where are you at these days?
So I moved out to Cody, Wyoming, which is just outside of Yellowstone, and it is incredibly amazing out here. There are mountains and mountains for days. I'm in a basin, which is just absolutely breathtaking every day. The scenery is incredible. The animals are incredible. To be able to go see the geysers and the volcanic activity anytime I want is amazing. It's almost as good as ghost hunting. So
Almost. It's a close second.
yeah.
It's a close second. And see, look, I'm not the only one that thinks you look amazing, Danielle.
Oh, thank you.
See, I, I'm telling you, it's just been so long. It's been so long. So when did you move to Wyoming?
It's been 5 years now. Yeah.
So we moved about the same time. I guess I
Yeah,
didn't
we did.
realize that.
You moved just before I did out here. Yeah.
Well, I guess we left at good times then.
Yeah.
So, you and I had so much fun together. But
Oh my God. Yeah.
what's so funny about the whole thing? I learned so much from you about ghost hunting. I don't know if we ever actually went on one ghost hunt together.
Wow.
Maybe at the Hannah house or maybe after an event at some point, but I'm not totally completely sure.
Like, I don't remember if it was ever just us. I guess maybe I should rephrase that. Like, it was always, yeah, if we did, it was like after an event or something like that.
Well, we were always so busy hosting events and doing big things. So it was, or like we were doing marketing meetings or we were, pulled in trying to get things accomplished. It was a lot of work for volunteers.
It was. In, one of your fortes among the many that you have, is organizing all of this stuff, and that's really why I wanted to get you up here because, I kind of want to start picking your brain. It's been a few years, but,
Yeah.
The biggest thing that you are known for, and I mean, you have quite a reputation and quite the following, but it's the paranormal meet and greet. I mean, when you think Danielle Garrison, you think, "Ooh, let's go to the meet and greet in Indianapolis."
I know, because it became a family reunion.
I mean, it did, and that was all because of you. I mean, I
couldn't have done it by myself. There were so many people involved. There were so many hands that got it off the ground. I mean, the main purpose and the main reason why it started in the first place was because when we first started on MySpace and we first started doing all this stuff with networking, and I found out for like the first time in like the early 1990s that there were other people ghost hunting. And I was like, I'm not the only one. What are you talking about? There's other people out there doing this. This is awesome.
It's amazing.
It was amazing. Like, I seriously I can't express to you how awesome it was to know that I was not the only crazy Scooby-Doo kid, or that I was the only, one out there reading everything that I could possibly read about ghosts and the paranormal. And I was reading everything that Dale Kasmerick put out there, as far as everything that he was writing in this, the Chicago arena, as far as Chicago ghost hunting and Bachelor's Grove and all these wonderful things that I was like so obsessed with. Like, it's literally, if you cut me, I bleed paranormal because it's my DNA.
You do. Now, tell me, when did you start this paranormal meet and greet? How did you come about it? What were you trying to accomplish from
So one of the things that I was trying to accomplish was when I first got started in the paranormal, there were no events. They didn't exist. There were a couple of events, like Dave Giuliano was putting on events out in like the bigger states like New Jersey and some of these other, there was a couple in Las Vegas and things like that. Well, I didn't want to travel all the way to all these places to go to paranormal events. So I'm like, this is crazy. Why can't we do an event here? So I think it was 2004 that we started the very first paranormal event in it was at the Crump Theater in Columbus, and it was
Columbus, Indiana, right?
Phenomicon. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it was an amazing event, and it was huge, and it really blew up, and I was like, this is the best thing ever. So then I'm like, how do we like get people to network and not necessarily have to pay $20 to $25 a head to get in for all these conventions, which is great, but I want everybody to be able to come, and I wanted it to be like a family reunion, and I wanted it to be networking and the focus on paranormal teams. And, you know, I hate saying this word because it's so cliche now, but back in the early 2000s, it was all about paranormal unity. And it was trying to get people to not beat the crap out of each other online. You had all these keyboard warriors that were sitting there bashing the crap out of each other on MySpace. And I'd sit there and we'd just watch it like ping pongs, like who is bashing who. And it was mega drama, and it was insane. And one of the principles that I always believed in was, if you meet somebody with a common interest, and if you talk to them, there's gonna be a spark there of something that you really like. And if you like this person to their face, you're not going to sit there and go back behind the keyboard and sit there and bash them behind the keyboard. You're going to like them, and you're going to want to meet them again, and you're going to want to learn more about them, and then you're going to want to hang out, and then you're going to want to do things with people. Well, that spread like wildfire. So I rented this tiny little stupid 125 person shelter at a park.
I remember that.
It was at the Washington Township State Park in Avon, Indiana. This was prior to the meet and greet in Indianapolis. And I just wanted to see what would happen. So I paid for it out of my pocket, did a bunch of marketing out of my pocket, and tried to get some teams together. And it was hilarious because I even had security there, because it was the MySpace days of people literally like saying that they couldn't have their table next to another team because they were going to actually fight, like physically fight. So I'm like, oh my God, what is going to happen here? So had security there because I didn't know what was going to happen. And we did have a couple of people say, my table can't be next to this table. Okay, fine. So we spread them apart in this little shelter. And I think maybe we had maybe a couple hundred people. It was pretty small, but it was a couple hundred paranormal people for a free meet and greet.
For a free meet and greet, I think that's awesome. I think that's
good.
It was awesome.
I think that's absolutely awesome. You know, one of the questions that we're getting from the chat, and we'll get into this a little bit later, but maybe you want to address this now.
Sure.
You know, when we get into, you know, the whole bringing people in to meet other teams and, you know, people that are novices, you know, the question I get a lot is, are you not afraid you'll bring something home? And how do you say that to somebody who is just coming for their first meet and greet, or, you know, one of the questions that you might get answered?
Sure. So it's a simple answer to that. What I do is I say, are you faith-based in seeking something like this out? Do you have a faith that you support, that you believe in 100%? And almost 100% across the board, there's a spectrum of prayers that you can say that match your faith, that would be a protection. Or say if you're Wiccan or something else like that, you can cast a spell of protection. There's a gamut of different things that you can say that say, you know, I'm going to be in this space, you're not allowed to come home with me, things like that. If you're truly afraid of something coming home with you, you can also always contact one of the paranormal investigators that do this. I've been doing this, I hate to say this, but kind of professionally going into people's homes since 1994. So a long time. Which also encompasses, while you're going into these people's homes and while you're being professional and while you're doing all these things, there is something in the back of your head that always wonders, what are you getting yourself into?
Absolutely.
Everybody, I don't care who you are as a paranormal investigator. I don't care who you are as on the spectrum of your belief of what's going on. You could be a complete skeptic, 150,000% skeptic, and you're still sitting there going in the back of your head before you walk into a place, what am I getting myself into? What am I walking into? What, is this a mental health issue? Is this the real deal? What is going on here? And I have used for many, many years the techniques of going through and diagnosing even before I walk through the door. And for many years, I also have advocated, don't go into people's homes anymore. There are too many things going on in people's homes that it's dangerous. I don't believe necessarily that residential investigations are that they have a purpose anymore. I don't believe that the safety allows you to go in there anymore. There's too many things going on in people's homes right now, COVID and so many other things, that you just don't need to go into someone's home to either do education on teaching them on how to deal with an entity, teaching them how to deal with something that I call like if you have psychic abilities or if you're sensitive or something like that. And I teach people how to deal with those abilities. I teach people how to deal with if they believe their children aren't harmed. I teach people how to deal with all these things. I can teach, and I don't have to step foot in your house. I can not tell you how many times I have walked into a residence and where I have not found any kind of evidence of paranormal anything anywhere. And I go to tell the homeowner, and I have been told straight to my face, well, you just weren't here enough, or you don't know what you're talking about, or there's something here, you just didn't catch it. So why am I in your house in the first place? I don't need to be there.
Oh, Danielle, you and I could not agree more.
I don't need to be in your home in order to diagnose or in order to help you live with the situation. I don't.
There is a thing, and this is something that, as Ashley is still kind of new in this, I'm trying to impart this wisdom on her, that most things can be explained logically.
Absolutely.
I don't necessarily like that fact as a paranormal investigator. I want to believe that everything is paranormal. I do. I just want to believe. But that's not the case, And, one of the things that I try to say is, if there's even one remote possibility that it can be explained naturally,
right,
it's not paranormal.
Well, and there's also ways of doing this. So I can work with a family for as long as it takes. Like, say, for example, I don't need to come into the home. I can help diagnose. I can help educate. I can help do all these things without going inside the home. But if, for example, they show me pictures of, like really drastic stuff going on, or it's been multiple times since they've been in contact with me, and I have decided that it's not necessarily a mental health issue that we're dealing with, or, I've sent them to their doctor and they don't need medication, or all these things, and something is still happening or still going on over multiple times, then maybe I can set up, some team to go into the location that has, the want and the gusto to get in there and film, or do audio. That's great. I could send a different team in. I don't necessarily have to be in there. So I'll contact other teams and I'll say, okay, I need boots on ground on this one. And a bunch of teams will consult, trying to figure out, as far as the diagnosis, they'll call me and say, hey, I need help with this, what's going on here. And usually I can do everything up until the part where I've got a log going on showing this date, this happened. And maybe I'm seeing a pattern. Maybe I'm seeing something that constitutes having boots on ground. then I will go ahead and send a team in and see if they can possibly get something around a pattern. But other than that, I don't need to go into a home to help people.
Well, it's kind of circling back to the meet and greet.
Sure.
Because, that's really something, I would kind of like to do something like that here. To my knowledge, and, people that are in the chat, that are in the Tennessee, Kentucky area, please correct me if I'm wrong. I don't feel like we have anything like that.
Meet and greet should be everywhere. I believe that everybody should have a free meet and greet going somewhere. The hard part is finding somebody accepting the responsibility of doing the hard work behind the scenes. And it is a lot. It takes me a year to do the big meet and greets. So
go ahead. Sorry.
I start by usually in Christmas time, saying, okay, I've got the venue. So I did it at 4 different venues for different meet and greets throughout the years. We did it at the park where I just got a shelter. If you could find somebody to donate a shelter for you, do that there. Then I also did it at the Honeywell Center one year in Wabash. It was the meet and greet. Yes, it was in Wabash, Indiana. We did it at the Hannah House many years because I had the venue donated, and that was an incredible, invaluable, huge resource. The hard part about the meet and greet every year was the parking, but we made do. We made it happen.
Well, we did make it happen.
Yes.
I guess my question to you, especially because there are still people that, I mean, I feel like the paranormal really hit its peak about 10 years ago.
Oh, I did too. Yeah.
I mean, that's when you had all your new shows.
Every show on TV, on every channel, on every network.
That's all it was. And I'm the first to admit, I went in, and Ashley loves this story. I went in thinking, that I was some big badass, and I wound up getting slapped.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I didn't know, but at the time I also didn't know that there was a meet and greet around for me to go and meet other people. But I mean, did you feel, I guess, doing these meet and greets, it did become a reunion of sorts, but did you ever feel like it served a greater purpose just about education to the public? Like what other benefits, I guess, came from it other than the individual teams getting to?
Well, I wanted the infighting to stop as much as possible, and with a bunch of the teams, it did stop, or it slowed down for the most part. There was networking with teams, like for example, like when I said I needed a boots on ground team, I learned so many different teams. Like you could not swing a cat in Indiana without running into a paranormal team at one point. I cannot believe how many teams were out there after I started doing research.
I was on 3 of those teams.
Yeah, there was lots. And when I first started, I think that there was maybe 2, maybe 3 teams. Like the Indiana Ghost Trackers was one of them. There was Hoosier Paranormal. There was a couple of other ones that were just in there for years and years and years and years. It was super crazy how long. But like I said, I didn't know until I started getting out there in like MySpace, and I started networking, and I started finding all these, crazy people that were just like me. That was awesome. I didn't know that they existed. So that was the main primary focus, was to find other people that were crazy like me. So, and obsessed with ghosts.
Now I gotta just yank your chain a little bit. You do realize how much you're dating yourself when you say MySpace, right?
Let's put it this way. I am a lot older than I look.
I'm just saying, But
that is true. That's where it all started. And
Did you have a bunch of let's ask this, because here's the hard question. Which different paranormal groups did you keep in your top 8?
Oh, I forgot about the top 8.
Yeah, it was, like I said, the old ones that started out on there that, that they have stood the test of time, like Hoosier Paranormal, and the guys down in, there was just a couple other groups that were there probably 10, 15 years before we even got out there on MySpace. It was like they had been there for a long, as an entity for a long time, but I didn't know that. And MySpace just kind of threw that out, that that it was really at the forefront, that there were other people out there doing residential investigations, that they were out there pounding the pavement trying to get people to, like, before all these paranormal shows, you were a creepy person if you were into ghost hunting. And just a creepy, like, I can remember sitting in the back of my library in 6th grade reading all these paranormal books and these ghost books and like books on Houdini and mediumship and like ectoplasm and all these crazy things that I saw pictures of at the floating brick and all these other weird pictures and stuff like that, going, I'm going to be in trouble. I thought I was going to be in trouble reading this stuff, because that's how much of a stigma there was when we first got out there.
There was.
Yes.
And again, I don't feel like it really changed until about 10 years or so ago.
Yeah.
Maybe 15. I keep forgetting it's 2021 now, but
yeah.
I still think it's 2005. So anyway, whatever. But you just mentioned the word ectoplasm, and this has nothing to do with the meet and greet or anything. But it does make me want to ask a question of you and of you, Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys seen the new show on Netflix called Surviving Death?
Yes. And that's why I just reminded myself about ectoplasm. And the first episode was out of this world. Awesome. I loved it. And then they went off the deep end. I'm sorry. I couldn't help it.
What the hell? Ashley, have you seen this?
No, I'm going to watch it when we get off, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first episode, just the first episode. The rest of it is all wonky, crazy, insane. Waste your time. If you're on that side of the rainbow where you really, really love mediumship and psychic abilities and things like that, then it's totally up your alley. I'm more of a scientific skeptic. So those things are, I call it work on the other side of the rainbow, which is fine. It's great. I have a respect for those people who do that, but it's not my personal advocation as far as ghost hunting.
Well, okay. So Ashley, here is your assignment for next week. Okay. So next week's episode, we're going to be bringing on who I like to refer to as Nikki the Hugger. And Nikki's very religious, and she's also a paranormal investigator, so she's going to be really awesome to have on the show. But during that episode, Ashley, I want you to go back and I want you to watch Surviving Death.
Okay.
And I want you to tell me about your thoughts. And Danielle, I'm sorry, but okay, I'm not judging. Maybe this happened. I don't know. But if you watch the show, do you remember the lady with the short hair? She was really thin.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, the one who has to say it, so she goes, "I'm Tommy."
Oh
okay.
My God, yes. I almost threw something at the television. I swear to God, I did. I was like, okay, this is, as a matter of fact, that's exactly the point where I turned off the show.
That's where I stopped. I'm like, come on.
I was done.
Just stop. That's not real. That is not real. But I wasn't there.
Ironically, I have been at places where I have seen people doing things like that. So I'm like, okay, I try to be respectful and I try to work that other side of the rainbow if I've got somebody working that side of the rainbow, but I mean, it's not my jam.
I'm not saying that it's not real. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying as I approach things with a more scientific, skeptical mind.
Yes, of course.
Saying, I'm Tommy. I'm going to talk to you. Stop it.
Yes. But that was the same reaction that I had the very first episode that I saw with Ryan Buell handing the little boy holy water. I wanted to throw a brick through the TV, and that was the first episode.
Oh, I don't know if I remember that one.
First episode. That last episode I watched.
What did he do? Okay, he handed a little boy holy water, and what happened?
A bottle of holy water. The little boy is swinging, and they're sitting there talking, and they're talking about all this ghost stuff, and I'm like, okay, where's he going with this? Because he sounds kind of serious, and he hands a little boy a bottle of holy water, and I'm like, oh, Ryan, you just went over the deep end for me, and I was done.
Well, you don't hear much about him anymore.
No, because he got in trouble. You know, that's what happens when you're a raging lunatic.
Well, but he was kind of cute to look out there for a while. I'm just saying.
For a while.
I mean, I got my picture taken with him. You know, we partied in Indianapolis one time.
He was a nice guy. I mean, I met him a couple times. It was okay.
You know, but now, funny story about Ryan Buell, and I know we're kind of getting off the topic, but okay. Remember the big Indy Paracon in 2009?
Of course.
Which was like the only one that ever happened.
Yep.
But it was great when it did.
Yes.
So anyway, that was okay, that was when Chad and Ryan were really big. And I wanted to get my picture taken with Ryan Buell. And I said, because we were both smoking at the time, I said, oh, let's get a picture of us. We're on a smoke break. And he goes, I'm not taking my picture smoking. I'm like,
wow.
Whatever, dude. Whatever.
Whatever.
But, you know, so much happened out of that Paracon.
But that's also why I always chose to, if the spotlight or if there was some kind of famous thing going on or whatever it was, you weren't going to find me anywhere near it. I didn't want to have anything to do with any of that. Got called about wife swap once for a paranormal show, wife swap. I was like, absolutely freaking no. Put it out to a whole bunch of people. They, grabbed it up. I'm like, yay, you guys go for it. That's fun. That is not my jam. I don't want to have anything to do with Spotlight.
Well, remember, that was the year that I got pulled into the paranormal spotlight. You remember that whole ordeal?
Yes. Of course.
Somebody living on my couch that I couldn't freaking get rid of.
I remember wholeheartedly.
My name was traveling that paranormal circuit real quick. Oh, I miss him. I wonder what he's doing.
I can't believe you said that out loud.
You know, I mean, I'll admit, I had fun.
There's a lot of fun to be had out there. There's a lot of neat people. I cannot tell you how many teams and how many people. I have met literally thousands of people doing this stuff and just going and talking to people. And I've taught tons of classes, and I've gotten people into their first their ghost hunts, and I miss everybody so much. There was so many things that we, got to do. I got to go into all these amazing locations, and I helped a bunch of them get off the ground with trying to help, ghost hunters go in and do what I call pay to play. And in some circles, pay to play is like a 4-letter word. And I will never believe that, because you have not tried to pay the bills. You have not tried to keep the electric on. You have not tried to keep the heat on. What happens to these locations when you don't have people in them and when you don't have people paying for those bills is that they rot to the ground. And then we see the destruction, and then you don't see them anymore, and you can't be around them, and they're gone. And we've seen that happen in Indiana time and time again. Black Moon Manor, a couple other places. I'm just naming a few out there, but there's a lot of them, and they disappear and they're gone forever.
We need to stop this chat for just a moment.
Okay.
No, this is breaking news. Trump is pardoning Joe Exotic.
What?
What?
Wow.
Heidi, if you can type that, just so you know, Danielle, Heidi is one of my favorite YouTubers. She's got all this information. This is like big news. Wow.
That's
Sorry,
crazy.
we gotta stop.
That's crazy.
We have to stop it.
That's crazy.
Oh, Heidi, you better give us some tea on that one.
Wow.
Well, I kind of lost my train of thought on that.
I know. That went out the window.
Like, what was I saying?
Well, good for him. Good for him. So now that you're, in Wyoming, what are you doing paranormal wise? Are you still in the field? Are you part of the team? What are you doing?
So out here, I came out here, and for the longest time, I stayed away from everything paranormal, because every single thing in Wyoming is imagine the 1950s in Indiana. So
Mm.
everything out here is in like the 1950s. It is old school, Bible Belt, Bible thumping. It's, you know, it's not, you know, a lot of Tennessee is like that, and a lot of, you
Yeah.
know, some of these other places are like that, but it's very old school here. They're very chauvinistic. They don't believe that women should be working, things like that.
I don't believe
Um,
I should be working, but that's another story.
I,
My goal is to be a trophy wife. So, yeah.
We're getting you there. Just come. It'll happen.
it'll happen.
It hasn't happened yet.
So I got out here and I kind of just watched the scene for a little while, and I saw these little baby teams that were kind of like MySpace days back in Indiana and back in those arenas, and I was like, oh God, this is nothing but serious, insane drama. So I wanted to stay away. Well, I couldn't stay away for super long, so I dove head into a team. Crazy drama back in 2018. I got back out at like the beginning of 2019. So I spent a year. I tried to do a meet and greet out here. We had maybe 50 people, which was cool.
For the
But
first one that they've had, though, that's
yeah,
really good.
it was pretty cool. So I did a meet and greet out here. It was 50 people. I helped a team get off the ground, which was great, but there was just so much drama. It was just too much. And so I'm just like, you know what? I'll do my consulting thing. I'll come back. I'll hang in the back. I'll help teams if they call me. And I still help teams all the time back in Indiana and Illinois and a couple other places, you know, Florida and a couple other places. They'll call me and they'll say, okay, I've got this going on. I still send cases. If I see certain things come up, I'll still send them to the paranormal clergy. I'll, you know, just different things that I see pop up or that I'll help here and there. But I guess the big thing is that I will be doing, I'm going to be starting writing a book here. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm going to try and do a field guide, and I'm going to do some training material. That way, anybody who's out there who wants to utilize the material that I put together over years and years and years of training and years of, you know, helping teams out, like get started. So what I'm going to do is I do the 2 tracks. I do the how to start your own first ghost hunt. So this is, you know, the recreation. This is for fun, going out there and doing this for the first time, getting your feet wet with pay-to-play places and things like that. And then I'm going to do a second track, which is actual paranormal investigation, where you're taking on the responsibility of going into people's homes, taking on clients, things like that. So while I try to sway people from doing that, there's no stopping it. It's still happening all over the place. So I will say, as far as trying to get people involved in a field guide that says, okay, now I'm going to, you know, pick a team. How do I pick a team? How do I work with people? What do I do? What you know, what spots are important? What equipment is important? How am I going to talk to clients? What do I say to clients? How do I start a log with them? Things like that. All these things for diagnostic. You know, I can't tell you how many times I've showed up on scene with a team and we were only there for their entertainment. It was nothing more than entertainment. You know, they could have been sitting there with bags of popcorn watching us. This is awesome. There's ghost hunters in my house. It's retarded. Or, you know, the other part of the gamut where you walk in and you go down into the basement and you're looking around and all of a sudden you're seeing shotgun holes inside the wall and you're seeing shotguns laying around and you're like, the shotgun are the things that they're shooting at are the ghosts. I'm out. Deuces, peace out, because you guys are shooting things with shotguns for real. I don't care how real this ghost is. I'm not afraid of the ghost. I'm afraid of the shotguns. So I'm out. So,
well, and you know, you bring up a good point. You know, well, 2 good points really. You know, I have heard so many horror stories. You know, when people do go into homes and investigate, you know, you really do have to be careful. And like you, I tend to steer away from that. And the way I look at it is, I'm not going to be the person that can help you at the end of the day. I can tell you if I think there's something or not, but there's nothing I personally can do. I'm not going to be your best choice.
Right.
So I believe in pay to play. But the other thing, and to this day, it still gives me cold chills. I'm trying to think of what the name of the team was, but they were in Indiana. It was with Jason, and they went
Snyder?
Schlemmer.
Oh, Schlemmer. Okay, got it.
Okay. And his team, I think it was his team, they went somewhere. They was to a private home because they kept getting reports that there was noises, and they found like a peeping Tom or something.
Oh yeah,
You remember that case?
So yeah, because that was the filmmaker. Oh gosh, I can't remember the name of the guy that took the film and had actual physical evidence, and they caught the guy on camera. So of the peeping Tom standing outside of the little girl's window. Yes. So that was actual physical criminal evidence that they caught, but there was all kinds of other things, like the fact that one of the investigations that I was on, one of my younger female investigators got locked into a room by a homeowner, and he tried to touch her.
See,
there's all these things that were going on that were just not okay, and I say get the heck out of people's homes.
And again, I agree with you. There is a time and there is a place, but it's, I think for the vast majority of ghost hunters, you don't need to be there.
No.
I just don't think you do.
No.
If
you're doing it for your entertainment, there is no reason why you can't do a pay-to-play place.
Bingo.
And there is no reason.
Tell you, I would rather go to a pay-to-play place because I know something's probably going to happen there. And that's what I want.
Well, I hate to say that sometimes, I have heard of places that have set things up. Like everybody's heard the stories of being in places where they've set things up. And there's even a couple of really super famous places like in New Orleans and in California where they did set things up and there were evidence and people found things while ghost hunting. Guess what? Good for you as a ghost hunter. Good for you as a ghost hunter for ferreting things like that out. I think it's great. Jason Baker used to be really famous for ferreting things out.
He was good about that.
Yeah, he was really good about finding things like cell sweepers and all kinds of other stuff all over the place. So I really commend a bunch of the ghost hunters out there that were out there doing the job, because I guarantee you sitting there behind, Facebook Live and saying, I'm doing a ghost hunt is not the same as pounding the pavement and learning, what the physics behind ghost hunting are and learning the actual science and then learning the psychology, having to read psychology book after psychology book, trying to identify what's going on with some of these clients. Because I can tell you right now, whether you're dealing with one of these ghosts or you're dealing with a head case or you're dealing with shotguns for real, I mean, it's a very big responsibility to be working with clients. I say go and have fun and just be an amateur.
So, you've been all over the country. You've met so many people. Where is your favorite place to go? Where do you love to investigate?
I'm not the person who will sit there and say that I like to go to every new place, because I don't believe the weekend warrior ghost hunter is ever going to find enough real evidence, regardless of where you're at. Like, one of the things that I teach in my class is the most famous ghost of all time is the brown lady. Picture the photograph from the castle in England. I can't remember the name of the castle now.
I don't either, but I know where you're talking.
So one of the most famous pictures, and that was, she's only been seen like maybe 3 times in centuries. So you cannot tell me that we as weekend ghost hunters, weekend warriors, are going to go out there and find the most famous haunted things in history. And that stuff you see on TikTok is crap. I'm telling you, I'm here to tell you to your face. I've been doing this for almost 30 years, and that stuff on TikTok is crap. It is.
Oh, so come on. Crap. It's real. I think all the apps are real, too. They're all real.
It is ridiculousness. So, yes, for entertainment value, I think it's great. The TV shows for entertainment value, I think, are great. Is any of that real? All I'm going to say is that for the history of all of the paranormal shows. It's called executive plausible deniability.
Yeah,
I cannot stress this enough, people. Your producers have, with your ghost hunters, have plausible deniability.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
That's exactly what it is.
And I feel like years ago, you and I had this conversation, but I think it bears repeating. You know, I haven't been doing ghost hunting as long as you have, but I've been doing it
a long time.
12, 13 years now. I mean, it's a
Absolutely.
long time. So I kind of know what I'm talking about a little bit. I honestly can say I have maybe one, maybe two, but probably only one picture of an actual apparition. I just don't have it.
I have one photograph that I would say that I completely cannot explain no matter what. One photograph. I don't hang in photographs at all because they can be, there's not a single photograph that I can look at that from somebody that I can really truly for real trust. And there's not a single photograph that I'm going to sit there unless you've got a trifecta of, you've got a photograph and you've got a video and you've got a voice recorder going off, or you've got, you know, some kind of trifecta of evidence. I'm not going to even look at your photographic evidence. I'm not going to look at your video evidence either because it's too easy to sit there and fake. It means nothing to me. There's nothing that you're going to show me that I'm going to believe. The only time that I would use those tools is in a residential investigation or a pay-to-play place, and that is for my own personal gratification, or unless I have a trifecta. So I'm getting something on 3 different instruments that says that something is not explainable by, and I don't even just trust my own words. I also sit there and say, I believe that I have to have somebody else in the room that is also experiencing those unexplained activity before I will sit there, because I'm going to question everything. I'm going to question you. I'm going to question me. I'm going to question the evidence. I'm going to question all of it before I sit there and say, that's possibly something. No, I can't explain some of the EVP I've gotten over the years. And I'm not an EVP monger that is going to sit there and tell you it's got to be Class A, or it's got to be Class B, or it's got to be Class C. That's crap. It shouldn't be there in the first place if you know what you're doing. I don't care if you can understand it or not. It doesn't matter. It shouldn't be there. So if you're in a location where you can not truly explain why you've gotten something on audio that you've gotten, you can't explain it. Maybe it's on analog or something like that, but you can't explain it. I'm all for you can't explain EVP. I'm the first one to grab a recorder over any photography or videography ever.
No, I agree. And I think Ashley will tell you she probably gets a little annoyed with me sometimes because she'll say, I think I have something. And I go,
nope.
No, you don't.
I can tell you back in the early 1990s when Dr. David Oyster started coining the term orbs. And there's this huge great orb debate that I teach in my class. And Dr. David Oyster, back in the early 90s, coined the term orb. Now, what they were doing is they were catching these orbs in photographs by the droves and by, you know, being in these haunted locations. And he's saying, you know, that spirit activity, that's spiritual, those are ghosts. You're doing a great job. You're, you know, you could take my class and become certified for $19.95. Actually, it's probably like $139.95 online and become a certified ghost hunter. God bless his soul. You know, God, he's resting in his grave, but I was never a fan of Dr. David Oyster. I believe that I understand the physics and the science behind why it was happening and behind why the wildfire got started in the first place. Like, why did people think that spiritual activity would be an orb in the first place on a photograph? Not just because people were saying it, other than he coined the term back in the early 90s. It was because if you know the physics behind energy, and if you know the physics behind spheres, if you understand and take a child's bubbles and you blow bubbles into the air, what Even if you have a square bubble maker, what shape are bubbles going to be?
It's going to be round.
Why?
I don't know. It just is.
It's just round.
Atmospheric pressure. It's the science
Yes,
behind it.
yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
So
I knew
then
that.
look at the universe. Why are planets round? All these other things.
Is that
It's
the
still
answer? Really? I didn't
it's
know.
still atmospheric pressure. All these things. So if you take these crazy people who are in these haunted locations and they're getting pictures of these round things and spiritual activity should form sphere, it makes kind of sense why orbs got started in the first place. However, if you know anything about photography and cameras, you're going to know that any particle in the air, if you take a flashlight and you turn off all the lights and you hold the flashlight by this, you're going to see all this soupy air mix. You're going to see dust floating, and you're going to see particles and pollen and all these things float in the light beam. When you take a photograph of that stuff, it forms a sphere. It forms orbs on photographs and on video. So here's the problem. If you take the flash, it's bouncing the flash off those particles in the air. Remove the flash, and if you're still getting orbs, you might have something possible, but you'd have to have something that actually looks truly and for real like energy, and it has to be moving abnormally, and there has to be all these abnormal and paranormal explanations that there is no explanation for.
Exactly.
So there is that shred of, like any folklore or any urban legend, there's that shred of realness with an orb. That's why it got started in the first place. Is it horse crap? Most of the time, because how are you going to take the soupy mix out of the atmosphere?
Yeah, you can't.
Exactly. Unless you're in a perfectly filtered room, in a perfectly filtered lab experiment, and then you totally remove the flash off, and if you're still catching orbs or something like that, then you might have possibly something going on. Who knows?
You know, I mean, I'll admit there are some strange light anomalies.
Absolutely. I've seen a couple.
Yeah, I'm more into the light anomalies than I am the orbs, I guess, so to speak.
Sure.
Especially when I'll see like a colored light anomaly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is.
You've got to go through the gamut of all the things that could be explainable. And there's how many times have you been on location and you're looking at car lights in windows and things like that, or like you're watching somebody, walk downstairs and your flashlight is bouncing off of a mirror from being in an old location and it does something weird on the wall and you're like, what is that? Or you've got it on video because you set up a video camera and you're like, somebody's walking around in another location and the light's bouncing off, a fire hydrant or something, or a fire extinguisher, and you're like, what is that? It's just all these weird things that you have to sit there and debunk.
Well, I feel like I need to have you back on another episode and we can just discuss all of these things that are paranormal crap that people try to pass off as evidence. Like, for real. Like, don't get me started.
I'm all for pay to play places, but I'm telling you what, if you're a team taking people out and gouging them for ticket prices, and if you're a team taking people out and gouging them for, letting them use your equipment and all this other stuff, and you're not teaching people how to use their existing cell phone, how to paranormal investigate with their existing cell phone and all these other things, if you're, making tons of money and that's your focus to make money, I promise you, I will call people out in a heartbeat.
I've seen you do it.
I have, and I will do it again.
It's great. It's great. I'm telling you, do not mess with Danielle. Don't do it. She will call you out.
There is a difference between helping a location stay alive and keep people in it and keep it from being bulldozed. There's a huge difference between doing that than trying to profit off the dead. Straight up.
Absolutely. And there again, I feel like there's a lot. One of the reasons, I guess I should say, to take a step back, that I enjoy paranormal investigating is because of the history of the places that I go. And if we lose those precious resources and facilities, we're losing a piece of us, really.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I don't mind giving my money to, historic places so I can go in, so I can enjoy them, so they can be around for a long time.
So the argument that I've heard is that it causes locations to fake.
Well, you know what? You could make that argument about anything.
Exactly.
I don't think a reputable place would.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think they would. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Any of the historical places that I've been associated with, for example, those of you who know me know that I helped manage the Hannah House for a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
Never faked.
Nope.
Never. Are they opening it back up to tours, do you know?
No. As far as I know, it's still owned privately, and they're not going to do any events there openly. So in the spirit of the show still, to do a paranormal meet and greet, you need somebody who's going to get out there and pound the pavement on doing the volunteer work. You've got to research the groups that are around you. You need to contact those groups and tell them, hey, on such and such date, keep it on the same date every year. It is a huge, big, on the same weekend every year. Do it in the summertime so that people, but avoid as many of the holidays as possible. So we always went with the second weekend in August. It doesn't matter where you go, have the location donated if you can, and sit there and pound the pavement, or get sponsors or something like that to help you out. Every once in a while I'd have a sponsor, which was great. The hard part is making sure there's enough bathroom and parking.
That's very true. Well, before we wrap up this show, I'm going to put you on the spot, Danielle.
That's okay.
Will you come back so we can do a follow-up?
Absolutely.
One? Because I feel like you are just a wealth of knowledge, and I really don't feel like an hour was enough.
That's okay.
It really was.
So I'm going to put you on the spot, so you have to agree and say yes, so you don't look mean. So
no problem.
Okay, you just committed. Yay.
Yes.
So secondly, if you had words of wisdom to give to anybody who is either in the field or thinking about joining the field, what would those words of wisdom be?
Don't take on clients. Don't go into people's homes. Go out there, do pay to play, or do the free things that you can find, and go out and have fun.
Okay, so my third follow-up question. What's September 18th?
I'm getting married.
What? Okay, tell me all about it. What you gonna do? Where are you getting married at?
So I found the most amazing man in the entire world, and he is a 10-year veteran of the Marines, and he
Thank you for your service.
Yes, and he is the most amazing guy ever. He loves Zachary. He gets along with my family. They all love him. He is a consultant for the wind industry, and so he does windmills. He goes around the country and around the world to set up windmills. He's wind energy and renewable energy.
Well, first of all, I am so excited for you. I have seen the pictures on Facebook.
Yes.
You look so happy. He better be good to you.
He's truly amazing. So we're going out to the Buffalo Bill State Park in September, and we're going to be overlooking mountains on every direction except for the lake, and we're going to have like a Viking wedding.
I am so excited for you. I am so excited for you. I can tell how happy you are just in your picture. So I really am excited for you.
It's really exciting. I found one of the last good guys out there, so I'm excited about that.
There's not many of us out there. Let me.
There's not.
Trust me, I know. It's like searching for a needle in a haystack. For Christ.
I didn't think it was going to happen, so it can happen for you too.
Well, I've given up on that path in my life, but that's okay. So another question. So you mentioned that you have these classes. If somebody wanted to get in contact with you to take these classes or learn more about that, where should they go?
They can always contact me at Danny Pitcher Garrison.
Oh, hang on. I'm going to put it in the chat.
Sure. Danny, Dani, Pitcher for baseball, Pitcher, Garrison, my last name, at gmail.com. And they can ask me about doing those classes. I'm going to try and get together some online classes, like through Facebook Live, and do a couple of classes that way. But I do the 2 tiers of classes, which is getting ready for your first ghost hunt and getting out there and doing investigations and having fun with it, doing the non-client side. And then I do the second tier, which is, okay, so you really want to be a hardcore investigator and you want to take on clients and things like that. And that's when I teach people how to take on clients and how to diagnose situations, how to handle situations. One of the biggest things that I have seen lacking in paranormal investigation is the follow through. What are you doing with these clients? What is your actual end goal? So we talk about that.
I agree. Well, everybody, her email is down below. I think I'm pointing to it. I can't do it.
It is.
So please reach out to her. Find her on Facebook. Add her if she's not already at 5,000 friends, which she normally is, but maybe not.
I've taken off quite a few, several times. So yeah.
You're always right at the max. So I'm glad I've always made the cut. So
of course.
I
wish they didn't have that stupid limit. It's so stupid.
I don't know why. I don't
either. It makes me crazy. They want me to do the public figure thing, and I'm like, no.
But you kind of are a public figure.
Good. You really should.
Maybe after I get my book out. I don't know. We'll see. There's lots to come.
No, I'm reading something that.
What?
Heidi. Heidi, this isn't like another show where somebody's just in another room. Ashley's actually at her own house, so doing her own thing. If y'all watch the YouTube channels that I'm on, you'll know what I'm referring to. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end this broadcast, but thank you everybody for watching. Yes, Heidi, I will call you after I'm done. Danielle, I just love you so much.
Thanks for having me, guys.
We really should not go so long.
I know.
Without, I know we email back and forth and blah, blah, blah.
I know.
It's just so nice to actually see you. It'd be better if we could go out to dinner and
absolutely
shoot the shit.
We need some cheesecake together.
God. I still remember when it was you and me and your parents.
Yeah.
And we went to, I think, Weber Grill.
It was, yeah.
To this day, that it's a red drink, Bloody Mary.
Oh yeah,
the best Bloody Mary I ever had.
Awesome Bloody Mary.
I tried to recreate it. So, anyway, I'm gonna end this live. I love you guys.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.